What's going on, guys? It's Stribbers. Welcome to episode 21 of PGR2 Road to Platinum. In the last episode, we carried on with the American Muscle Series, doing races 2 to 5. I'm going to carry on with this series today with a street race, a cone challenge, a second street race, and a hot lap. So we'll be kicking things off today with a street race. This is going to be in Chicago, this one. And we're going to be using the Corvette Stingray for every race, as we will be in every race in this series. This is the last episode that I'm doing where I had to re-record the races due to glitching. So there's going to be more glitching in the menus, I'm afraid, because I couldn't re-record that bit. But the races are all nice and smooth now, so there's no glitches in them at all, so I'm quite happy about that. But we're in Chicago for this one, 3 laps for this race. And the lead car is a Stingray as well, so this is where it gets a bit interesting, where we have to catch this AI driving this car. And yeah, it's pretty difficult, to be honest. It's a quick car, but we'll see how we do. So we managed to get round pretty much everyone in the first corner. There was a couple cars battling it out, and they spun out there, which let us go through. So we're on the tail of this Mustang now. As you can see from the mini-map, it's actually quite a twisty, turny track, this one. Lots of straights though, lots of corners. As I managed to crash into the wall there. Taking this corner tightly to the corners, to the apexes. But we're staying about the same distance from this Stingray here, trying to catch him up. Going down this straight section, and you normally can go flat out around here, but I turned in a little bit too early, which put me way out of position for this corner. But the AI doesn't take that corner particularly well, so you can catch him up through there. So as you can see, we're on his tail now, but messed up that corner, went too far on the inside. But I did this one quite well, so you can turn in and then flick the handbrake to turn the car around a little bit more. So we're right behind him now, trying to go around the outside. And I managed to cut in on this apex, and he went a little bit wider, so we managed to pass him there, going into lap 2. So it's just about defending that lead now. And what I find hard about, oh, that was a terrible corner, just about avoiding the barrier there, but slowing down. But I do find it hard driving at night on this game. It's harder to see the tyre marks for where you need to brake. So I always find that I misjudge corners more in the dark than in the day. So it does make it a bit more difficult. And also just the lighting in general, it's just hard to see where you're going. But obviously that is you know, what happens in real life. But anyway, so we are about a second ahead of that Stingray now. And yeah, that's the comfortable zone really. If we can just keep that distance, shouldn't be too bad. That was quite a nice corner there, using the whip coming out. Turned it a bit too soon on that one, so he's going to be right behind us again there. Misjudged that one completely. Taking that corner a bit nicer. But yeah, the city looks pretty cool at night, to be fair. They've done a pretty good job in level design on this one, even though some of the tracks are a little bit boring. Bit like, I don't know what happened there, just sort of got caught up on the curb there. But yeah, some of the tracks in Chicago and the American Muscle Series, it's just like straight lines and corners, really. It's like a proper city layout. But still in first place. Then I crashed into the barrier there, making lots of mistakes in this race, but still managing to stay ahead. Half a second this time, so we're keeping, you know, about 0.2 to a second ahead of this Stingray, so we're not doing too bad. Onto this long straight now, over the bridge. And the train going over there, it's quite cool. Although I'm pretty sure that does that every lap, which is funny really. Oh, just about doing that one okay. Very nearly hit the inside of the barrier there. Doing this corner nicely. It's very tight, some of these corners, and this car doesn't change direction ever so well. So you've got to be a little bit encouraging with it. But as you can see on the mini-map, we're miles ahead of the other cars in this race. So they might as well just be one-on-ones, to be honest, when using the fastest cars. Doing that corner okay there, and that one's not too bad as well. So he's still right behind us though, no matter how we drive, he's sticking there. So I managed to go full speed around there, getting a better line for this corner. Taking that corner nicely, easing on the throttle, trying not to power slide. Coming up to this corner, we've got to spin the back end round again. Not too bad there. He's still right behind us. Coming into the last two corners. And doing them okay as well. So we won in the end. Not the easiest race, to be honest. You've got to be on your toes driving through that one. And it can be hard to catch the first car up if you don't get ahead of that the other cars in the first corner. But 1.5 seconds behind you was 7,100 kudos. I'll take that. It's not too bad, even though, you know, I had to re-record all these races. But man, this next one, this cone challenge, is a pain in the arse. I thought the first one was pretty hard. As you can see, some glitching in the menu there. That's what I had to avoid in the actual races, but I can't avoid that in the menus, I'm afraid. So there's a bit of an unusual tactic for this one. You can't get enough speed off the start to link all these cone gates together. So what you've got to do is do a little slide in between each of them, even though it, you know, slows you down a lot. You can get a good combo linking from the start, and then once you've linked all those together from here, you can drive at normal speed because you've got round the corner. So yeah, this cone challenge is 2 laps, and there are some really tricky sections in here where you've got to go as quick as you can, really, whilst linking everything together. It's yeah, you have to use this car, and it's very difficult. So going through these cones here, so you've got a power slide around here, making sure you don't slow down too much. Going through that clean section, and you've just got to floor it through this section, linking all these together. You've got to slalom through this bit, and then you've got to brake here, but don't power slide, and go through, well, try not to power slide, and go through this section full speed as fast as you can, because these cones are very hard to link together. And you've got to brake late here, then drift around this section, and also don't slow down too much there to link that one to this one. Coming along for lap 2, so in this bit now we can just drive full speed, or easing off the throttle when you need, linking all those together. Do a normal power slide around here, drive through this bit normally. This isn't too difficult. This next corner is quite hard. You've got to power slide controlled, but not slow down too much, because this cone here is where I've lost my combo a few times, and it's very annoying when you time out between cones, especially when you're on your second lap. So linking all these together, and this is another corner here, as is the first lap. You've got to not drop too much speed. Link all these together, these cone gates. And we get to this corner again where you've got to brake, but not slow down too much and not hit that outside cone. I've hit that outside cone many times as well. This took me the good part of an hour, this one, to re-record it as well. Power slide late round there. Link this cone gate. You must do another power slide to link this cone gate as well, and then you should have enough speed to get through there and power slide across the line. So yeah, that took me an hour the first time and another hour to re-record it, so it was a bit frustrating, but we got there in the end. Pretty much 19,000 kudos, so we passed comfortably. So if you do that little tactic at the start, it makes it a lot easier for yourself to get that challenge done. But we've ranked up, rank 41 now, 20 more kudos tokens. And that leads us into the second street race of the episode. Using the Stingray again, going back to the first colour, to the maroony browny colour. 8 cars in this one, 3 laps, and we can just fly past quite a few of these cars in the beginning. And there's 2 cars ahead now. We've got to brake early with this car, remember. If you brake too late, especially on that corner, you do fly out of the apex. You go way past the apex. This is a tricky corner here, because you can go full speed through there, but you've got to get your line exactly right. So that can be quite difficult. So I think we've got the Mustang in front, and then the Corvette in front of that. So it's close at the moment. See, the Mustang's quite fast in a straight line, to be honest. But its cornering is pretty naff. I think it's got 2 on cornering. And pretty poor top speed as well. But if driven well, it can be okay, to be honest. But obviously not as good as the Stingray, as we managed to, well, nearly overtake on the outside, get sandwiched. Going for him on the inside now, just cutting him off. And we're in second place now, behind the other Stingray, who's in the same colour as we chose. But we're getting into his draft zone now. As you can see, it does make quite a big difference drafting the cars, to be honest. And I nearly did a backflip in the car there, or a front flip. Sparks coming out and everything. So the rear end hits the floor. But we're neck and neck now with this Corvette coming around here. Trying to take him on the inside and getting sandwiched, or me bashing into the wall then hitting him, and then very nearly getting spun out there as he nearly took our back end. But we are in first place by the second lap. It seems to be the place that seems to overtake the cars, mainly on street races. Well, the first car anyway is the second lap, or leading into the second lap. But yeah, it's quite an interesting track, to be honest, this one. But this bit is hard. You've got to get the right line and use full speed through here. As you can see, he's still right behind me, even though I'm fully accelerating. And this bit's a bit uneven, this that road there, so you've got to lay off the accelerator, otherwise you'll have random changes in direction that are hard to control and you might end up spinning out. So it seems to be a thing in PGR, that uneven surfaces, and it's yeah, it's quite hard to control sometimes. So, and that was just an awful corner, bashing into the barrier there. What I find particularly difficult about PGR is on a normal track, you'd aim for the apex and you can go, you know, just over the inside of the apex. If you go over slightly, it's not a big deal. But with PGR, you've got the barriers on the inside and the apex. So that is why I always crash into them, because I'm so used to cutting on the inside of the apex as best I can that yeah, sometimes it'll result in hitting the barrier, and it's so easily done. If you want the best line, like that one for example, that was, you know, close to the apex, but I didn't hit it. But that's what you've got to do. And we're coming into the third lap now. 1:34 for that lap, and he's just under 2 seconds behind us. Taking that one nice and slow, because it's easy to lose control on that that corner there. Again, flying through here full speed, going a little bit wider than I wanted on that corner. And again, easing off the throttle. You see the car just whip to the right then. So it's unpredictable on that section of the track, so you've got to be careful there. But yeah, the barriers make it so much harder. It's not like a normal track, a racing track. Although there is the Nürburgring in this one, or Nordschleife, so that's got a little bit of the normal racetrack element to it. It's the only track in the game, but that's quite fun to drive on that because you don't have the barriers in the way. But this is loads more comfortable than the first street race, which is odd really, unless there's some races where the AI just don't take corners very well, and maybe they have stronger races. Maybe they're, you know, like in the first street race he was behind us and taking the corners well on every single corner pretty much. But this one, he's obviously, there's a corner or a couple of corners which they're a lot slower on. So he's dropping behind on this one, so that's a lot more comfortable than the first race. So you shouldn't have too many difficulties with that. Look at that. Look behind, there's no one there. So 2,600 kudos for that. And he was 3 seconds behind in the end, so that was quite easy. And that leads us on to our last race for this event, which is a hot lap in Washington. A funny looking track, this one. 1:18.5 is the target. And this is in the rain, so this is pretty difficult. You've got to brake way before the time marks to make sure you don't fly into the barrier. But I actually don't do as well as my first attempt on this one before I had to re-record it. So on that first corner I get ahead of my Ghost, and then on the second corner I take that a little bit too wide. So as you can see, we're neck and neck now from my previous attempt. But then I do ruin that one a little bit. My back end hits the barrier there, slow me down a little bit. But yeah, this is it's a short track, but because of the rain it does make it a little bit more difficult in this car. It's pretty unforgiving in corners, so you've really got to preemptively brake for every corner. And it's better to brake early and then control yourself around the corner than braking too late and just sliding way past the racing line. But we're still behind this Ghost here, about a car length. Coming onto the straight now, before the last corner. So the Ghost broke a little bit earlier than me, and I'm power sliding around there. But it was pretty close, to be honest. Pretty close attempt. Just under a car length behind my other attempt, I'd say. But we've still finished under the time, 0.2 of a second, so it's another platinum medal again. So that's not too bad at all, guys. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. So in the next episode, we'll be looking at a timed run, a couple street races, and a speed camera. And then there's only one street race to do for the episode after that. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.